Good evening or good morning, Classic Bikers Club subscribers. As you can see, Brian Marr is doing an extreme trials demonstration on his Raga replica Gas 280, water-cooled Spanish two-stroke trials bike. Very popular among the club market these days, and very agile for the modern style of trials riding. Now, Brian's a member of Bonaccord Club who's stepped in at the last minute to assist us with a trials demonstration, and we thank him very much for putting his life on hold and coming down and spend the weekend here at the first Great Scottish Motorcycle Show at the Lanark Agricultural Centre. The skills that Brian's demonstrating here with his gas are fairly typical of what you'll need to ride in trials, although as this is effectively a very small arena trial, it's a little bit more intense. Good club riders do what Brian does, although Brian's a little bit more than a good club rider, as he was, I think he said, Scottish national champion BMX trick riding for 3 years. And he's transferred a lot of those skills over to the trials world, which fits in nicely with the modern world, unlike the pre-65 classic world. Trials riding is all about skills and balance and manoeuvrability. There's less about speed, although there are occasions when you have to go quite quickly. In the main though, everything happens at walking pace, which probably makes it one of the safest motorcycle sports you can get involved with. It's also one of the easiest motorcycle sports to get involved with, as trials are run every weekend up and down the country, north to south, east to west. There'll be a club somewhere near you, wherever you are, to join in the fun and practice this exciting sport. It does have to be said that what Brian's doing isn't beginner stuff, but you can learn this kind of stuff. It does take practice, and you've seen the size of our little arena here, a little bigger than most people's driveways in the house. And with the addition of a couple of cones or beer cans, if you fancy, you will need a few empties. You can set up a little practice trials course and begin hopping and bopping around like this, just to keep your skills honed for when you go into a real trial at the weekend. For those of you who are familiar with trials riding in its old-fashioned form, which is a little bit less extreme than what's going on here, the technical side of things developed from the Spanish riders coming in from BMX, in actual fact, as Brian has done, trying to get their bicycles further and further up a hill by hopping and bopping and spinning and jumping. And when they went onto motorcycles when they were old enough, they transferred the same techniques to there, and trials courses stiffened up to take account of all this. It's all about throttle control, clutch control, balance. Brian's busy lining himself up here for our log, concentrating, getting the engine to rate his position properly. He'll hop back a bit just to line himself up, and he should just power up towards it, drop his weight and flick the front end up. And that was a dab. If you ride a trials bike, you can see just why these things are possible, because they are so agile and so light. You couldn't do that on a road bike, hopping and backing around like that. The stoppy is quite an exciting sort of way to flick your back end round, and if you're in a very tight section and you need to flick turn the back round the corner without sort of losing the front end, stopping the front wheel, throwing your weight forward and picking the back end of the bike up and just pivoting round in the air, can change the actual total direction of the bike itself in less than the bike's length, which makes it a highly manoeuvrable motorcycle. Well, the tractor tyre might not be a fairly typical trials obstacle. The log certainly would be seen in a trials section. And the technique for riding over it is the same as riding over a rock step. Weight, balance, keep your weight to the centre of the motorcycle, let the motorcycle move between your legs so you can lift the front end up and then push the front end forward once you come over, and the weight of the bike just will take you over the log very safely. Just talking about road bikes and trials bikes, what we're doing here is just demonstrating weaving in and out of cones, which many of you may have come across on your motorcycle test, although in the days when I took mine it was just ride around the street and come back and the examiner handed you tickets in, you passed your test. Now Brian's alternative placing his weight on either footrest of the motorcycle and leaning the bike against his leg as a stop. Now if he wants to turn extreme right, he presses all his weight on the right footrest, extreme left, all his weight on the left footrest, and despite what you may think, this actually means the bike is turned by the feet rather than the handlebars. The technique was sort of developed by most of the top riders in the world and is demonstrated remarkably well by Mick Andrews, a 5-time Scottish 6 days trial winner. And he actually taught former 500 GP road racer Kevin Schwantz to do this in one of his trial schools, and Schwantz apparently has picked up on this and now uses it as part of his GP bike training, saying it's the best way to steer a GP road racer. What we're just going to do is just ask Brian just to see if he can do a wheelie turn in and out of all these cones instead of just boring ordinary riding on two wheels, which seems quite easy for him. So we'll test him a little bit, see if he can pop round and wheelie each one. Well, that was close. Yeah, that was close.
Second US.
It's all about body lean, balance and correct positioning of your bike. Right, Brian, thank you very much for coming along and saving our trials demonstration here, and from the amount of people that's been around here, it's been very popular. Have you enjoyed doing it?
Oh yeah, it's been brilliant. Really enjoyed it. Really good fun.
Okay, that's fine. Now, we'll just revisit the interview you did with John McCrink this morning and talk about a bit about your background. How long have you been riding trials, off and on?
Yeah, I started when I was 6 years old, about 1995. Then I gave up that after the foot and mouth came in 2000. Went into BMX for a while after that, and then started trials in 2008 again.
Okay. Now, I understand you had a bit of serious misfortune on the road with a car, didn't you? You had a fairly major car crash, didn't you?
Yeah, kind of had a bad smash. I was in a bad way for a while, in hospitals for 6 months. So.
Now, it's fair to say that motorcycling sort of kind of brought you back around as a recuperation sort of thing. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of brought me through it all. That's the only thing I was looking forward to, getting back on a bike when I was in hospital and everything.
Now, let's talk a bit about your bike. It's a Gas 280. It's a Adam Raga replica, isn't it?
Yeah. Brilliant bike. It's really powerful, just light as anything.
What year is that?
2010 model. I just got it 6 months ago.
Okay, that's fine. I'm probably going to sort of put you on the spot and say how you fancy getting on my B40 there, which is like 40 years earlier trials demonstration. But even though they are quite different motorcycles, there are some similarities between the old and the new bikes, aren't there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, same wheelbase, and it's just as much fun, to be honest, I think.
Okay. Now, you started on a TY80, which is probably the most famous kids motorcycle in the history of the world, trials world certainly ever. And I heard a rumour that you've got a couple that you're on restoring, is that right?
Yeah, I've got a couple of TY80s I'm restoring, and a 125 and a 175 Whitehawk as well. Love the TYs. It was the first bikes I've ever had a shot of. It was a 175 I had a shot of first, then got my own TY80 after that.
Now, Bonaccord Club, that's up in Aberdeen, isn't it?
Yeah. Really growing club just now. A lot of new members started a lot of positive feedback from the Scottish rounds in the Grampian motorcycle show last year as well.
Now, do they have a website, Bonaccord?
Yeah, www.bamcc.co.uk.
Excellent. That'll then know me a pint next time I see them. So, no, the trials demonstration you've been doing here it's a little bit false and a little bit intense because it's in such a small area. But would it be fair to say that all the skills you're showing in this demonstration would be needed by a trials rider?
Oh yeah, definitely. No matter what you're in, if you're in water or whatever, it's the same sort of principles to it. The rocks, same as the logs. Logs are rather usually slippier than the rocks, but
yeah, we understand it might be a bit slippier tomorrow if the weather forecast comes to fruition as is promised. But yeah, certainly. I mean, would that be a beginner trials rider who sees you doing this today and says, "Oh, I fancy goat trials"? They wouldn't be put up against that in the first trial, would they?
No. There's various routes. The beginner routes are probably hard for the beginners for a start, but the soon get up to them. It's not nothing like this at all. This is more intermediate expert kind of things for a start.
Intermediate? Oh God, I'm going to have to go more practicing if that's intermediate stuff. Okay then, Brian. Well, you'll be going to carry on doing your little demonstrations through the day, so thank you very much for that. And hopefully you were here watching live this little interview as Brian performed at the Carol Nash International Scottish Motorcycle Show at Lanark Agricultural Centre. See you next year.